Hi, I'm Rhekman from Michigan. I want to take a few minutes just to explain why I'm excited about GAP 26. We need revival in America. Again, there's many folks, many Christians say, look, it's government's job to fix America. I get government. I've been involved. I've been a prosecutor. I've been a judge for a number of years. I worked with the state government for a number of years to change laws, and government's important. We got to understand that public policy is a lagging indicator of where the culture is. And the culture is a lagging indicator of the effectiveness of us. We're supposed to be the salt and light. We need heart change. It's got to start with us and that communicating to the rest of the culture. And that's what comes in revival. I used to think that America was basically a Christian nation till about, the Vietnam War, 1970s, 1960s, 70s. But then when I really heard the real evidence, I found out that we've gone through a number of times in America's history where we were at very low points spiritually, and it was revival and spiritual awakenings that brought us back. Let me just share a few of those with you. Here are some of the awakenings that have existed in our history. The first Great Awakening back in the late 1700s or the early 1700s, Second Great Awakening in the late 1700s, and so on. A number of them, most recently, the Jesus movement. But it's very important that we understand how this thing works. Listen to this. Before the Second Great Awakening in the late 1700s, our nation was weary of war. Alcoholism was epidemic. Yes, the late 1700s. Immorality widespread. There was Muslim terrorism, believe it or not, kidnapping folks in the Mediterranean. They took a poll at Harvard University. Harvard was the school that was designed to train pastors. They took a poll. How many of you guys consider yourself Christians? Zero back then, late 1700s. The thinking from the French Revolution was coming to our students in our colleges in America. And only two students at Yale. American churches were lifeless and kind of a major decline. But then, like we hope are going to see with GAP 26, the remnant began to cry out in fervent united prayer to God, repent of sins, obey Him. And then the Second Great Awakening happened in the early 1800s. And in many places where the gospel was preached, God's power fell from heaven. America's population in the early 1800s increased 4 times. Church membership increased 10 times. Thousands of new Christians, many new churches. The largest missions movement in history was fueled. Social action sparked. College campuses saw revival. In fact, by 1802, 25% of Yale came to Christ. Half of them went into full-time vocational ministry. And what I really like, the money donated to charities exceeded the federal budget in 1834. But again, and then it declined just before the Civil War, and then there were other revivals. We need another one, my dear friends. And, we're seeing Gen Z come alive to some degree. We're praying for another revival, and we really believe that GAP 26 could be a spark. And that's what we're hoping for. And it's got to start with us. We all know Second Chronicles 7, 13, and 14. It doesn't say if the non-Christians or the non-believers. So it's got to start with us, Christians, praying together, united prayer. There's never been a spiritual awakening in any country or locality that did not begin in united prayer. And that's what GAP 26 can do. So we're excited about what's going to happen across our country. We need revival, but it's only going to come if we get together as followers of Christ, pray earnestly with faith. So I encourage you to do it. Thank you.